on our YouTube channel, we are really opening this container, opening this event to activate freedom for all beings, for everyone on the planet, for everyone, you know, based on the values that we're going to be discussing today. So I'm really excited and really honored to be hosting this event. This is for everybody, and I'm really grateful that whoever can join us live is going to be able to come in and be part of this with us, and co-create some magic, because we're all in this together, and we're all going to be contributing our energy and our magic and our medicine to this together. So thank you so much for joining us. If you're with us live, just comment on this video if you're here with us now. Hey Harmony, oh, awesome to have you. So good. How are you doing? How is everyone today? How are you feeling, Harmony? I'm just going to be checking the comments in on my phone so I can see what's going on, so I'm not kind of toggling between screens on my computer. Okay. Hey Maria, how are you? I'm so excited for our talks. We're going to be joined by Harmony in a couple of days, well, tomorrow actually, and Maria in a couple of days on Thursday. So really beautiful to have you both with us. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, happy Easter to everybody. So I just really wanted to firstly open this event with an acknowledgement of country, an acknowledgement of the original custodians of the land, the traditional owners of the space, the land that I'm currently in. So I'm in Melbourne, north of the Yarra River, and the original custodians are the Wurundjeri people, and I really want to acknowledge the elders, past, present, and emerging, and the ancestors, and show my gratitude for everybody, all beings, all, you know, animal spirits, plant spirits, everybody who is part of this beautiful world that we're co-creating together at this time in our planet's growth. So without further ado, I will be bringing on our lovely Poli, and yeah, we'll get her to explain some of her journey, and we'll get into our discussion. So please drop a comment into the comment box how you're doing, how everyone's feeling. Oh, hey brother, nice to see you. Yeah, here we have Poli. Yay, welcome Poli. Thank you so much for being here with us today. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. I have been wanting to have this conversation with you and with everyone that is watching for a very long time. So I'm just really very, very happy today.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, well, it has been a long time coming. I feel like this is the kind of event that I've been wanting to host for over a year probably, and it's getting to the point now, well, it's got to the point now where I'm ready, and it's all kind of coming together really beautifully. And you're actually streaming from Mexico. You're joining us from Mexico from your van, right? You're in your van. You've actually found a spot where you can join us with Wi-Fi, and you're living the dream. To me, being van lifing is really like, that's freedom in so many ways. So I'm excited that you're able to join us in this way.
Yay, yes, of course.
How long have you been living like this? How long have you been van lifing and living this kind of life of freedom?
Yeah, for the last 2 years, full-time living here in this van. I have been going, visiting different communities all around Mexico. Mexico is a very big country. So we have 32 states, and I have been visiting 28 of them. And it all started because we were doing activism, and we were just trying to connect with other people and to talk about justice and freedom and ethics, and to help them create more strategies and tools so that they could as well start campaigning and doing different projects. But I just love it. I don't see myself living in a regular house anymore.
Ah, wow, yeah, well, I guess it's a lifestyle that you must have got used to. And so you've organized some really amazing events, activism, your conscious activism. I saw yesterday you posted a really beautiful article that was written about you and your work. And yeah, I think that's really cool. The amazing work that you've done for animal rights, for human rights, for you know, the evolution of our planet at this time. It's about the environment, it's about humans, it's about animals, it's about every aspect of our beautiful planet Earth, and really moving into a new phase, a new world, co-creating this new world of freedom. And so yeah, I would love to hear from you what your journey is like, what that's been like for you, your story, and your work with your conscious activism, and really open this discussion with the values that I see are really important, what I value, and the work that I have done in the past that now has come to really having a balance of the human rights and the animal rights and all of that together. And the values that I see as really important at this stage in our evolution are, you know, equality, balance, harmony, respect, and all these things that lead to freedom on so many different levels. But I would love to just first of all hear from you what that is for you, and what those values, or what your values are, and how that has led you to where you are now with your work in your conscious activism. So
Yeah, so I think that it's a very abstract word, right? Freedom. And to talk about freedom, I think that there are so many ways to define it, and a lot of people might have different ways to speak about freedom. But I think that for some, talking about freedom might be about having the capability, the ability of just expressing yourself, whatever you want to do it, or to have all of your needs covered, so that you are able to live a life without worrying about your needs and the privileges that maybe others are having and you are not. And so for others, freedom might be talking about having self-awareness and being able to connect with yourself and to connect with others as well. But for me, I think that all of these meanings are all valid, but I think that freedom is a conversation that is kind of like a puzzle. And so all of these parts are pieces of that puzzle, and they are important. But there's other piece that it's talking about how freedom means to be non-oppressive and to have no violence for anyone. And so once we are talking about this piece, we are extending the conversation not just on what does freedom means to me, but what does freedom means to others. And I think that is the big and main part of this conversation. What does freedom means to others, right? And so that might be a lot of things. But I think that something that we need to have in our minds whenever we are talking about this is non-violence, is talking about stopping all kinds of oppressions that other might be experiencing. And for starter, stopping whatever action, whatever practice that I might be doing that is affecting others. And so that's the point of starter for me with this conversation. So I think that that's the reason why activism became something so important in my life. And I'm just 33 years old, but I have been doing activism for the last 20 years because I started when I was a little kid. And so I started doing activism because I was really worried about the environment and the pollution and everything that was happening in the city that I live, because I used to live in Mexico City. And when I was a kid, Mexico City was the biggest city in the world. So for me, it was talking about a big issue in that moment.
Wow.
And so I was also so conscious and worried about what was happening to the animals. But on that moment in my life, I wasn't a vegan. I didn't even was a vegetarian, because I didn't know. I didn't know that there was all of these different actions that were oppressing animals, because I was just a kid. But I wanted to do something. And so I started there. And then when I started to become a teenager, and when I went to college, I realized that oppression was something that was happening pretty much everywhere. That I could see that there were different types of violence that women we were experimenting, not only like sexual assaults or violence that we might think that are kind of on the cusp of the pyramid of violence, but different ways of violence that we are experiencing every single day whenever we are not allowed to do whatever we want to do with our bodies, whenever we are not allowed to express ourselves whatever we want to do it, whenever we are not feeling safe just walking on the streets. And so I started to realize that talking about nonviolence was pretty much the same conversation for all of us, because it was not just the animals and the earth and the women, it was as well all of those groups of people that I might not know they exist, because I have never been in Asia, or I have never been in different places, but there might be there people that it's now feeling oppressed and being exploited because of the relations that we are all living in this planet, because we are all interconnected. And so that of course made my mind like explode, right? Like, okay, so if everything is interconnected, how can I start understanding better this problematic, but as well, what can I do? And not just because I wanted things to be better for others, but what can I do with my life? What is the purpose of being alive in this moment in time where there is all of these problematics just going around, right? So I studied sociology, because in that moment in time I thought that that would be a way to start trying to understand and changing some of the phenomena that is happening around the social relationships that we are having in the planet. But I think that it was just like yes, again, once again, like a puzzle. Like everything just started to come in together, and I was able to understand that there is one thing more important than every other thing, I think, and that would be to just be conscious of our privileges, be conscious of what I am experiencing, be conscious of what I am feeling, and what can I do with all of that. And for me, that translated into understanding and being also a practitioner of yoga. And so I think that I have been an activist for a very long time, just because I have been a yogi as much years as I have been an activist. And I think that that's the reason why I have made it sustainable for myself, but also is the reason why I understand that we are all in the same place. We are all pretty much the same. We are made of the same things, and we are all able to feel whatever the other one is feeling. And so it's for me something so logical. Like if you are able to experience pain, if you are able to feel happiness, it's just because I am able to do that myself. And that's because we are all animals. And that's because we all have the ability to do that, and to feel anxiousness or to feel joy. And so that really clicked. Like something that we understand in yoga, it's that our values have to be around ahimsa, which is nonviolence. And so I think that it's not just in yoga. If you review whatever religion or philosophy or even studying ethics, you're going to find that values and principles are pretty much all the same. Like not to cause killing or murder to anyone, not to do robbery, not to lie. And so if we are just trying to live according to principles and non-oppression, then we are going to really understand in our actions, in our awareness of the world that we are living in, that there is no way of being free when you are still doing something that is oppressing others. So we are not going to be free until we all are free. And we might try it. We might try to feel free ourselves, and we might meditate a lot and do yoga and be very devoted if we are religious, or whatever you need to. Some are runners, some are musicians, whatever you need to feel free. And you might feel free and you might be free. But even though you're feeling that way, your actions have to be aligned in order for yourself not to being oppressing others. Because if not, there is no congruence. And so I think that's pretty much something like very solid for me to try to explain and to understand why it's so important to link activism with spirituality, and understanding that spirituality is this studying of yourself. It's being able to try to be self-aware, and being able to understand your emotions and having emotional education, because that's something that we certainly do not have. Like we learn in school when we are kids, we learn about math and we learn about history, but we don't learn how to understand the way that I'm feeling in order for me to be able to not do something that it's harming others, right? So I think that having emotional education, it's pretty much basic for us to be able to not only not harm others, but to keep on going as activists, because doing activism is not easy. And so how can I do activism and be joyful? How can I do activism and be healthy? How can I do activism and actually being happy? Because if I'm all the time worrying about what others are needing, what others are experiencing, I'm going to actually be living in hell. Because perhaps I have the privilege of living in a place where I can feel safe, or perhaps I have the privilege of not being oppressed because I'm a woman or a brown woman or whatever, but I'm going to be thinking all of the time. And so my mind is not going to be free. I'm going to be every single day of my life thinking and actioning around how can I do something so that I don't feel guilty, or what can I do in order for me to feel that I am trying to help others. And so that, of course, is not going to be something that it's going to free ourselves. It's going to be something that it's going to constantly remind us of what we have to do or what we are not doing. And yeah, so I think that it's so important to have community care in our activism spaces. And it's so important to have self-care because of this main thing, because you can be trying to help others, but first of all, you need to be in the right place for yourself, because if not, you're not going to be helping anyone at all, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you've just shared so much amazing insights, so many amazing insights that I think they 100% reflect everything that I feel about activism, about the way we treat each other, the way we respect each other as well as ourselves. Because as you say, you know, it starts with ourselves, and we are all so interconnected. Something that we're going to be discussing in a couple of days is this unification for liberation, and what unity means, what unity consciousness is. And so it's like the puzzle, the pieces of the puzzle of how, like, this web of life of how we're all interconnected, it's quite difficult sometimes to conceptualize, to see how our choices and our the way we treat ourselves reflects the way we treat others, the way we treat others reflects the way we treat ourselves, and it's all this interconnectedness, this the web of life. And so if we are truly respecting ourselves and respecting others at the same time, and respecting their freedom, which essentially is, anti-oppression, consistent anti-oppression, which I think is like one of the roots of this whole thing, it's really important to get to that, I guess, the Ahimsa way of life, of living life in a way that is respecting others, and really doing as little harm to anybody else as well as ourselves at the same time. And so the element of self-care, self-love, self-respect, that's all reflected in the way that we treat others as well, and being against oppression or for freedom, same thing to me, is really important, to have a world where everybody is respected and everybody's seen and felt, seen and heard, and able to just express ourselves. And I love what you said at the beginning about freedom of self-expression, freedom of being who we truly are. And that's sometimes hard to understand, I guess. We don't, throughout our lives, we've had this level of these layers and layers and layers of conditioning, of programming, of, belief systems that we've accepted or created for ourselves, or that society has conditioned us into. And so it's like releasing ourselves from the bonds of those belief systems that are actually oppressing ourselves as well as others. One example is just, I need to eat animal flesh for protein. That's a very simple example of a belief system that we've been conditioned to believe, because it's not true. We don't have to. We can get protein, we can get all the nutrients we need from plants, from the plant kingdom. And so releasing ourselves from those kind of belief systems, and I guess the way I see it, one way that we can release ourselves from those belief systems and allow that a shift into a different frequency, is through understanding our value systems and understanding what is important to us, understanding and appreciating and acknowledging the areas of our lives that do give us freedom. Areas where I might feel, I do feel, very free in many, many, many ways. There are other areas where I feel like I'm not, and I'm working on looking at my values of how I value myself, how I respect myself, and how I can shift those areas of my life, and energetically what that means and what that does. But I feel like that, the kind of the balance, the shift from the belief systems, which, not all of them are oppressive, but a lot of them are, and shifting out of those belief systems, releasing what no longer serves us, and looking at our value systems and what we actually hold as really important to us in our lives. And this, to me, is the Ahimsa. It's the non-violence, non-oppression, respect, equality, consistency, honesty, transparency. All these things that I think are really important, are helping me and have helped me a lot over the years to release what no longer serves, what doesn't serve me, what doesn't serve the planet. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear more from you about how you see spiritual activism, the sacred activism, what that means to you, and what spirituality is to you, and how those principles of yoga and activism have really, come into alignment alongside the self-care and all of that as well.
Yeah. First of all, I loved everything that you just said. Thank you so much. And yeah, I think that for me, it looks, talking about the spirituality, it looks like being able to study myself and being able to study whatever is happening around me, but not just on the relationships that are direct, like with the people that I can see here or with whatever community I'm visiting now, but to be able to study these contexts, to study what's happening because of the economics, because of our culture. And so this might sound like, wow, that's a lot, but it's really not that much. It's just being able to be a good listener, and to be able to see, to really see through not just your eyes, but as well others people's eyes. Because I think that the main problem when we are doing activism or when we are not connecting with our spirituality is that we are trying to understand everything just the way that I see it and just the way that I feel it. And of course, it's going to be difficult to try to understand what is happening in other people's hearts and minds, because we are not other person, like we are just ourselves. But as long as we are trying enough to hear others, we are validating other people's experiences. And there is so many different types of experiences, and all of them are valid. And so this means that even when this experience is a violent experience, it's as valid as the one that I'm valuing because it's non-oppressive or is non-violent. Why is it? Because if we are not able to understand what's going around us, but also what I am feeling with equanimity, to be able to value like in a balance, very good, it's okay, what is very good, what is something that pleases me, what is something that I love to do, but to value just as well what disgusts me and what maybe I don't like because I perhaps got sick, or because I saw somebody yelling to a little kid or something, whatever we want to put in the category of violence, right? So once we understand that there is no need of binaries, there is no need to do the good ones and the bad ones, then we're going to be able, in one hand, to understand that we are pretty much all the same, that the reason why this person might be doing some action that is oppressing other is the same reason why I could be doing that as well. It's because we are all in this same space, and we have all been raised pretty much in the same kind of way, where there are all of these, just like you said, like all of these walls in mind that we are forced to believe. And so once that we get to value the same, these different types of actions, it not only makes us equal, but it also free ourselves, because now we're not going to be thinking in the egoic way that he should be doing differently. He should be doing differently because I could do it different. When you are doing that, you are just putting your expectations like on the top of everyone else. And so your expectations in life are really not more important than what other people is experiencing. And whenever you are thinking, well, I should do this to try to change that person, is because once more, you are putting your expectations about what is good and what is wrong on top of everyone else. And so each time that we are trying to change another person, each time that we are not understanding why somebody might be doing something, and we don't have to say, okay, it's okay to rape cows in farms. No, we don't have to say that violence is okay, but we have to understand why somebody might be working doing that. And we have to understand that that does not make him or her a bad person, because we are all made of the same. And that person might be doing that because he's experiencing violence as well, and because she or he might not think that is able to do something different because that's the job that he or she has now. And so there might be a lot of things happening in his or her life that really we don't know. And so we shouldn't be judging everybody. And also because if we keep on judging everybody, it's like, who are we to be like in this top chain of whatever humanity to just say if somebody is doing good or not? Like, if you try to think about yourself and what you were doing 2 years ago, I'm pretty sure that you have changed a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And so that means that you are able to change yourself, and whoever is living in this planet is able to change himself or herself as well. And so we shouldn't be trying to say that we have the truth and we have the oneness story that should be happening for everybody. We should try just to understand and to contemplate and to observe and to listen. And then maybe one day we're going to understand better. And that's why spirituality is so important for whatever, for living or for doing activism. Because this way, you're going to be able to value as well studying whatever is happening around you without putting yourself in the middle. Because you don't have to be the person that changes everything. You don't have to be the person that has an opinion about everything. But what you can do is to be the person that is always loving and caring, and the person that is able to be empathetic, and the person that is able to be compassionate. And to be compassionate means to be kind with the ones that are so different to us. Because just to be kind to people that thinks the same way that we do, that does the same things that we do, it's not really being compassionate, or it's just like valuing the same that you are. And so in this process, you are not really growing, you are not really learning, and you are not really helping. You are just feeling the commodity and you are just in a place where it's okay, it's warm enough so you like it. And so what we need to practice is compassion, and we need to practice compassion for all. And that means even for those that we might not agree with, especially with those, because only then we're going to be able to create total liberation for everybody, but also for ourselves. And so spirituality really links us to that, links us as well to the awareness of ourselves, and not just like ourself, but our self of the understanding of this energy, this life, the fact that you exist, and the fact that you exist, it's a lot more important than the fact of whatever you do or whatever you think or whatever you feel. Because perhaps tomorrow you're going to do something different than you did yesterday, or perhaps tomorrow you're going to think different than you did yesterday, or feel different than you are feeling right now, or whatever you felt other day, right? And that doesn't mean that you are not yourself anymore. That just means that whatever you do, you're thinking, or whatever you are feeling is changing all the time. And so if everything is changing, that means that your opinions or the way you feel about somebody else might not be as radical or as truthful as maybe you're thinking when you are thinking out of anger, or out of binarism, or out of maybe even activism. Because that's something that we need to think a lot more, that being an activist means to be a very passionate person. And passion can be wonderful because it drives us to do amazing things, right? And it drives us to be active, and it drives us to try to help others. But when we are so passionate about something, we are not able to see what that is giving me all of this passion is doing to myself, because I'm just so attached. And so I have no ability to see who I am besides all of this passion and besides this cause that I am defending. And so I think that's the reason why I see so many vegans, and I see so many feminists, and I see so many indigenous people, and whoever group that is defending their own rights or the rights of others, and not being able to have conversations with other groups, because they're always like with the gloves out, right? Like in the box. They're always defending themselves. And so they're not able just to listen to a different type of truth. And if we understand that everybody has its truth and we are all changing all the time and everything is so impermanent, then the only thing that we can come back again and again and again is to ourselves, is to understanding that we exist right now in present moment. We are here listening this, talking to each other. And so that's the only thing that we should be holding on to, and understanding that by this way of feeling, of valuing myself, I'm going to be able to value other selves, other people. I'm going to be able to value the differences, the diversity, and then I'm going to be able as well to act on these values, to act on how I want the world around me to perceive the way I am treating them, how I want to act in every single thing that I'm doing, whether it's having breakfast, whether it is I'm having a vacation, or I am writing a script, or whatever I am doing that can have these values in my actions. So that way I am doing this because it's the right thing to do, because I want to do it, because I believe in this, and not because I feel compelled to, out of guilt, or because when I was a kid, I wish that somebody treated me differently. So now I'm treating differently other people. And so we really need to as well ask ourselves, why am I doing activism? Or why I'm not doing activism, perhaps, so that we can find the right answers and to try to link them all to the kindness that is right in ourselves, to the loving, to awareness, to the compassion that we can create within ourselves and share that to the whole world and every single being. It doesn't matter if it's a fungi, it doesn't matter if it's bacteria, it doesn't matter if it's a tree, if it's an animal, whoever it is. We need to keep on just sharing this compassion and love that we are creating for ourselves, because just like you said, it's going to be a reflection what we do about the way that we treat ourselves.
So beautiful, thank you. Yeah, 100% resonate with everything that you've just shared as well. It's really, really powerful, and I feel it kind of comes back to, as you say, empathy and extending that circle of compassion. I can't remember who it was that that first, the quote that comes from, extending our circle of compassion. It might even be Einstein, but it's, we're not the center of the universe. We're the center of our own lives, and it comes back to, as you said, our our influence on the world around us and the people and the beings and all beings around us, by extending that circle of compassion. So we're compassionate for ourselves, and then we extend it to further and further out to include all beings, whether that's, then we start looking at mammals, we start looking at birds, we start looking at plants, bees, fungi, as you say, all aspects of life that we share this world with. extending that compassion to everybody as far as possible, and understanding that, yeah, we are, even though we are all individual and we're all unique, we all have our own talents and gifts and callings to play out in our lives. We're all essentially, as you said, we could potentially be living somebody else's life if we've had those kind of experiences that they've had, and having empathy for the fact that somebody who works in a slaughterhouse, you know, in another life, I could have been working in a slaughterhouse. I could be living that life. I could be doing those things if I had been through the experiences that they had been through. And having that, the ability to see things from so many different, you know, perspectives, cultivating that ability is really important, and being able to understand that everybody's experience of life is their own, but I could potentially have that experience myself, and knowing that, you know, I guess there's all these different layers of conditioning and programming that we've been brought up through, has got us to where we are today in our own lives, but we're not so different from each other. And I also wanted to just clarify for people who might be listening, what you mentioned before about the cows on a dairy farm as well. You know, somebody working on a dairy farm and the violence that animals experience, the mother cows particularly, and their children, but also the fathers, also the males who have their seed, their sperm extracted so that the mothers can be impregnated, and then the children are taken away so that we can have the milk that's actually produced by the mothers for the children. That's these things, these are aspects of the animal use industries and what we unknowingly as consumers are encouraged to participate in. We don't know, you know, these are the illusions, these are the veils that are created, that are placed in front of our eyes as humans, that there's no transparency about what actually goes on farms and in slaughterhouses, what it's like for these animals. And I'd love to hear more from you about that and your perception of how animals are treated and how we can shift away from the illusions and the illusionments around what we're contributing to unknowingly, and what we can do to make that shift, how we can actually lovingly release ourselves from the industries that we might not agree with. And there's lots of different industries on the planet that are creating a lot of havoc, right? That are actually causing a lot of pain and suffering for many, many beings, humans and animals, and extracting ourselves from those industries. How can we do that in a way that is loving for ourselves, and not buying into them even further by creating more and more negativity around that, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Yes, I think that first of all, we always need to say the truth, and for that we need to have knowledge on what's happening, because if we don't know it, we might be giving versions of what is happening that might be a lie, just as well these industries are doing. So I think that in order for us to try to do something about all of this violence, first we need knowledge, and secondly we need to be effective. And I say effective like in the meaning of the best tools that you will ever have to do activism. It doesn't matter if it's outreach out there on the street, or if you are creating a live show, or if you are doing a campaign at the radio show or whatever. the best tool that it's going to be more effective is the way that you are communicating, to be in one hand attractive, so that the people that is listening to you want to still listen to you. And in attractive, I don't mean physically, I mean that what you are saying, it's something that people say, oh wow, I want to know more about that. And secondly, you need to do that speech or whatever you are doing, whatever you are campaigning, it's something that it's effective, because otherwise you're making people feel guilty. And so if what you are saying is, hey, this is happening and it's hideous, it's horrible, and if you are contributing to it because you are eating animals, using leather, because you are getting vaccinated, or because you are whatever that might be a part of animal exploitation, then you are a horrible person. Well, then no one is going to be interested in listening to you. And the problem is not listening to you, like you as a person. The problem is that they are missing out the truth. And so if we want other people to have knowledge, then we need to let them know in a way that it's going to be as nice and as easy and something inviting for them to try new things and to stop abusing and to stop being part of the violence. And some people might say, oh wow, but that's manipulating. It's not, because we are saying the truth. But also, isn't that the way that every single communication is held? Like if we try to review the way that communication works, it's always somebody that says something, somebody that is listening to that, and the message. And so the message is always something that has a goal. It's trying to achieve something. And also the person that is saying that message, or maybe not the person, because it might be a song, or it might be something that it's not from a person like live in that moment, but it's said in a way that you are hearing to that feeling yes, like you are attracted to that message, because otherwise you wouldn't be looking to that documentary, you wouldn't be looking to that YouTube video, or even looking to this live stream right now, right? And so it's so important to know how to communicate with others. And it's not just because it's your goal that they hear the truth, but also because the fact that you have the privilege to talk to others means that you have a responsibility to do it with kindness and to do it with compassion, and with the compassion that maybe you would like to have whenever somebody is telling you something that it's difficult to hear. So in that same way of thinking, we need to be able to be creative and to be radical about the way that we are communicating, because there's nothing more radical than love. And so we need to communicate in a way that everybody is going to be able to understand, but also able to do that truth something that they can take to themselves, and not just to say, today I heard two couple of very crazy women talking about something, but to be able to say, today I heard something that really changed the way that I have lived my life, or really make me feel good. Because sometimes it's not about change. It's about how can you make others feel okay with themselves. Because if everybody were able to feel okay with themselves, then we wouldn't have all of this violence. So that's why also it's so important to raise awareness about self-love, and to raise awareness about how can other people feel good with themselves. Because if they're not feeling good with themselves, they're going to try to achieve other things to feel better. So they're going to start working more, they're going to start buying more things, they're going to start perhaps not pursuing their dreams, but doing whatever they think that it's going to make them more successful in the way that successful means for this society. And so also it's not just the message itself and the way that we say it, but talking about knowledge as well means that we need to keep on studying a lot of things. Because when we start studying, then we're going to see that all of this interconnectedness we are talking about, it has a word to, to there's a better way to say this, and it's intersectionality. And this is very easy to understand. An intersection, it's something that it's coming one way and the other, and then they intersect, right? So intersectionality is pretty much the same, but it's an approach to understand reality. So you might think that the violence that animals are experiencing, it's coming in one way, and violence that we women are experiencing, it's coming in another, and they are just different violences. But they're not. They are intersecting, because the reason why there's violence for non-human animals and for ourselves as women is because there is all of this belief system and all of this practice system around economy and around the politics, that we have valued other bodies, and we have heard ever since we were little kids that bodies have to be controlled, whether it means what you can use with your clothes, or the way you are able to move your body or not, or the way you can show your body or not, or whether we think that as humans we're able to use other bodies just because we see them as flesh, or we see them as other slaves or co-workers, like the horses or other animals that are exploited to be used by the police or the military, or whatever other spaces are. So all of these violences are pretty much the same. It's the realization that there is an economic system, the capitalism, that it's always looking to have a value around other bodies or other materials or other work, the work of other people or the work that is inflicted to non-human animals. And so this is happening because there is discrimination. Whether this discrimination means that some men think that they are better than women, or whether we think that white people is able to be the boss and to have people of color working for them, or whether we think that we as humans can discriminate animals and treat them as if they were just materials or property. And so this specific violence that animals are experiencing has a name as well. It's called speciesism. And so it's pretty much a discrimination that we as humans put into other animals that are not from our same species. And so that's the reason why we think that they are less intelligent, or they feel or experience the world in a lesser way than we do, or they have different needs that are not the ones that we have. And so because of that, we can treat them poorly, or we can exploit them. Because also the conversation needs to be around not the way that animals are treated, but just why are they being exploited? Because I don't think that there is any way to exploit somebody in a nice way, you know? And so animals, whether they are human animals or non-human animals, we animals shouldn't be somebody that is the object of oppression of somebody else. And so once we have all of this knowledge and we can interconnect all of these different things that are happening in the world that led us to have violence, we're going to be able to have a good message. And then we're all going to be able as well to transmit that message, to make it public, to share it with whoever we need to do that, in order to try to stop every single kind of violence. I would love to talk about being able to abolish all of the violence that animals are living, but not just that, being able to abolish every single type of violence, whether it is capacitism, or whether it is because of the sizes that we have in our bodies, because that's also a type of discrimination. And not just the discriminations that we hear the most, because unfortunately they're still happening, like racism, or like patriarchy and sexism. But we need to understand that every single violence is pretty much the same. It's just oppression that comes from a place where there is somebody that think that is better than other. And that's the reason why we have to come back once again and again and again to spirituality. Because once you understand that you are not better than others, you're never going to be better than anyone else, because we are all the same with our diversity, and we are all made out of the same, and we are all able to feel the same emotions. Then we're able to stop just thinking that the value of my person comes from what can I do that is bigger than what is doing my neighbor, or what can I do that it's better than an elephant, or whatever you might want to use in the example.
Yeah, beautiful. Exactly. It really, at the end of the day, I think it all comes back to love, unconditional love, and not seeing ourselves as so separate from each other. And the speciesism that you talk about is it's seeing ourselves as better than other beings that are of a different body, that are of a different species than ourselves. So seeing, a fish or a cow or an elephant or anyone that's in a different body from ourselves, other human beings as well, another race. It's all the separation and the belief that one is better than the other, when really we are all made of the same stuff. We're all made of atoms and stardust. Like, that's the way I see it, is like we're all made of this beautiful light. And we're the more we can come back to that spirituality, the more we can come back to ourselves, clear ourselves out, and do our own inner work, and do our own personal development work, through whether that's through a structure that's seen as spiritual, or personal development that's more like along the lines of more physical, like breath work or fasting, all these different kind of techniques that help us develop ourselves and clear ourselves out in many different ways. They're structures that we have the ability to just work on ourselves and come back to being just better and better and better versions of who we truly are. Because we've had these layers and these traumas and all these experiences that have kind of dulled us down, and told us we feel like we're not worthy. We feel like we shut ourselves off from love and from seeing the beauty in everything around us as well. Like life, every moment is a blessing. Every moment is a gift. Everything in life is something that we get to learn from, and having gratitude and having appreciation for all these beautiful things in our lives, and even the painful things, even the things that cause us suffering or we feel suffering from. There's still beautiful opportunities for us to grow and develop ourselves further, and delving into those things and studying more. As you say, knowledge is wisdom. Knowledge is key to understanding the nature of reality, the nature of ourselves, and how we interact with each other, whether each other is other humans or other animals, and all non-physical beings even. And yeah, doing the inner personal development work is really important to look at our memories, things that have as we go through life, and as we see things from different perspectives, we're reminded of experiences in our past that might cause us pain to remember, from our childhood, or things that we've done as adults, that we suddenly feel guilt from. I think a big one for a lot of us, as we see things from the animal perspective, because that's what veganism really is to me, or animal rights, is seeing things from the animal's perspective, seeing things from the perspective of the other, of someone else who is being exploited and is being oppressed and is being treated as less than, just, you know, from our own, like, the way that we've become used to living, it creates this sense of guilt. And it feels like, for me personally anyway, and I know for a lot of other vegans that I've spoken to, is that that has been a major contributor to their like a disintegration of mental health. When people wake up to this realization of what is going on around the world and what's going on for other animals, is I was contributing to that. I didn't know, but releasing ourselves from the grips of that guilt is really important. And really, there are, as I said, these other techniques that can help us shift through that. But really, it's like having compassion for ourselves and having compassion for the fact that we didn't know. It's been something that that we've, you know, been contributing to or being part of without actually having a full understanding or having awareness, for whatever reason, and allowing ourselves to feel the guilt and acknowledge it, but let it go. Then being able to say, that's an experience that I've had, and I'm grateful for having had that, but I don't need to hold on to that anymore, and to just release it, release those feelings, and release the energy, because it's all energetic. And as you were saying about the message and getting the message across, a lot of that is energetic, and presenting a message in a way that is attractive is, it's about embodying and being in the energy, in the frequency of the truth that we want to share, as opposed to you know, what you were saying about how it can be presented in a way that is like creates more guilt and more judgment and more negativity, but presenting it in a way that is actually uplifting and empowering and supportive and compassionate and understanding and empathetic. It's much more effective, and it feels better for us as well, right? Like, for us to be presenting a message in a way that's encouraging others to just be, you know, better and better versions of themselves, however that looks, whatever that means to them, feels so much better than, you know, from my experience in the past of my own activism, and the way that I used to be was very much, you know, I don't want to say negative, because I feel like I've always been quite conscious about doing my best to be as positive as possible. But at the same time, I have been judgmental. I have been negative. I have created separation, and I've withheld love from people who I do love. You know, I've withheld love from my family and people that I care about, just because they're different from me, in many ways, but in other ways we're the same. And I don't want to be the cause of that separation anymore. I don't want to be the cause of that, of pain for family members, for anybody that I care about. And having that unconditional love, and knowing that everybody's on, you know, their own journey, at different parts of the ascension process and the evolution of the planet. And it's not to say that one part is any better than another part, because somebody else might be further along in their awareness than I am in other ways. Like, I don't know that much about race relations. I don't know that much about you know, other industries that are oppressing us as humans, or other animals. But to be able to shift our perspectives and see things from others' point of view, having compassion for ourselves at the same time, releasing those emotions that come up, the more negative, the more dense emotions like guilt, like shame, like judgment of ourselves and judgment of others, feeling them, acknowledging them, and being able to witness them in our bodies and release them is, I think, really, really key to be able to move forward and to help others do the same in whatever way they need to at that point in time. So I'd love to hear from you what your recommendations are, if you have like any kind of key tools or tips for people wanting to make changes in their lives and to release guilt and to release themselves from these shackles, these chains of the dense negative emotions that might hold them back from actually truly embodying who they really are. Do you have any kind of techniques or any kind of self-love, self-care tips that you'd like to share?
Yeah, first, yeah, I think that really everybody needs to go to therapy. Please do so. Because I think that there's a lot of things that you might have experienced when you were a kid, or because you were abused, or something that you experienced that might be the reason why you are feeling and acting upon and reacting to other things that are happening in time present, and that they are coming from your past and you're still holding on to that. And if we don't put ourselves in confrontation with that, and we don't lose the fear of talking to ourselves, talking to our own experiences, our own past, and put all of that aside, we're going to still be feeling guilt and still be feeling these different emotions about I should be a savior, or I should be changing other people's minds. And so all of that is happening because you are valuing the fact of how other people see yourself, or how you see yourself in relation to your actions. And so that means that first of all, please let it go. We need to have all of this non-attachment as a practice, a daily practice that we are trying each and every single day, like 10 times a day. Like, am I attached to the action that I'm doing right now? Am I attached to the feeling that I'm doing? Am I attached to the person that I'm talking to? And so that it's going to let us know if we are doing this because we want to do it, or we are doing this just because we feel like we have to, like we need to, because otherwise something is going to happen to us, but we are just imagining that. So first of all, therapy. But also I think that understanding that we don't have to be anything. We don't have to be better, brighter, prettier. We don't have to be any other person than we already are today. And of course, it's okay to learn more, and it's okay to change your mind. But what I'm trying to say here is that the version of you that you are right now is not a bad version of yourself. And it's not a poor version of what you are going to be on the future. Because if you're thinking of that, then you are not valuing yourself in present moment. You are thinking that maybe in the future, there's going to be some change or hope or whatever, that it's going to make things differently. But the thing here is that you are not living in the future. In fact, future doesn't exist because the only thing that exists right now, it's this moment. It's today. It's here. It's you. You are. So please value yourself in this and stop putting all of these weights upon your body, upon your mind, trying to think that you have to be the savior, that you have to be the best activist, that you have to be the best friend, the best person, the best wife, the best whatever, because you don't have to be anything. You just have to be, and that's it. And point. Like the end of the sentence is that you just have to be. But of course, it's easier to be said than done. So what I think that it's going to be something to let us understand that we are not in the process of being something else, and you are not in the process of being better at some point, but you just have to be right now and love yourself the way you are, and love everything that is happening around you the way it is, and love everyone that is around you and not around you, everyone that you might not met yet. You just have to love everyone the way they are, because otherwise, once again, you are just thinking that something needs to be different, and holding to that hope, or holding to that future, holding to that mindset of changing, it's not realistic. It's not what you have. You don't know what it's going to happen tomorrow, but what I can tell to you that it's going to happen, it's that it's going to change. And it's not going to be something that you create. It's not going to change because you want to, or because you are working to it to change. It's going to change because that's the way life is. Life, it's always changing. So right now you might be experiencing a lot of bliss and a lot of happiness, but tomorrow you might have the flu. Or tomorrow you might step into something and have your pinky or your toe or something, a very bad step, and now you're feeling pain. So you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but it doesn't matter because today is a good day. And this moment, it has to be filled with grace, with happiness, with joy.
Yeah.
And so in order for that to happen, please just live the moment. So I think that the best way to do that is to practice mindfulness and to practice meditation, to be able to understand that meditation is not just those 10 minutes where you are just closing your eyes and telling yourself, stop thinking about the laundry, stop thinking about what you are not doing right now. So meditation is not just that. Of course, a big part of meditation is to try to free your mind about all of these thoughts. But a big part as well of meditation is that you can meditate while you are doing laundry. If you are doing laundry and you are thinking about this present moment, what I am doing is washing clothes. And I am here in the laundry room, or I am here doing it with my hand, or whatever way you are using to do your laundry. It's okay. But just thinking to be present. And that way, I can assure you that you are just affirming yourself. In that moment, you are understanding that you don't have to be something or anyone different. You don't have to do any other thing. And that is because this present moment is perfect. And it's great, because that means that every single moment is perfect, right? Because we're always living this moment. We're always living the present. And so life is such a wonderful thing. So we need to stop worrying about. And of course, I know that the mind is always going everywhere. Our minds are like, I don't know, I try to think about the mind like this character of Shrek, the donkey, that it's always talking all the time. And so you have this silence moment, and then it starts over and over again. And sometimes your mind can be very chatty, and maybe you even have great conversations with your mind. It's not like your mind, it's the awfulest thing ever. It's not. But you need to find those moments where you are not thinking. And that's great. And that's something that it's possible. You just need to shut everything. And perhaps it's not just thinking about silence, because if you're thinking about silence, you are not in silence, right? But you need just to calm yourself. And so meditation can help. There's a lot of ways to meditate, and there's a lot of YouTube videos that are just amazing in helping people to meditate. Music can help you meditate, especially that music that doesn't have lyrics, so you can concentrate on what you are listening and not on the words of somebody else. And there's a lot of ways of meditating, and I think that something that it's a key for meditation, it's your breath, just holding on to the rhythm that you create and being aware of that, like just repeating to yourself, inhale, and exhale, and trying to play even with that rhythm. Like I inhale very slow and I exhale very fast, or I inhale very slow, I hold my breath, and I exhale very slow once again and hold, or something like that. And there's different ways to do breathing exercise. Of course, this is as well a technique from yoga, pranayama. But I say every single time that somebody asks me, okay, but how can I shut my mind? How can I silence everything? Just breathe. Just do that. Because whatever thinking, whatever thought you are having in one moment that you don't want to hold to that, just make a pause, go ahead and give it a very big inhale, and let it go. And I can assure you that you are a lot happier now, right?
Yeah, from one breath.
Yeah, in one breath. And let me tell you why. Because our breath is strictly linked to the way we feel, like our emotions. Because when we are when we are angry, when we are not feeling rested, we start to breathe very, very rapidly. We start to, and so that rhythm that we create with our breath, and maybe we don't even create it, it just starts happening, right? It's going to make us feel a lot worse. And it's going to make your heart start pumping a lot harder and a lot faster, the blood, that it's going to all of your body, and it's giving a sign to your brain that hey, something is happening, so we need to be like all in defensive mode, and so you're not going to feel okay. But if you just control your breath and you start to inhale and exhale like very slow, you're going to be able to slow the ratio of your heart, and you're going to be able to start creating dopamine and start creating other chemics that your brain is just very happy to have, and it's going to make you feel a lot better. And so that's a single tool that you all have. You don't need to buy any type of app that tells you how to breathe. You don't need to, I don't know, put any dollar, any peso. You don't have to put any type of money or anything on how to create a better mental space for yourself. You just have to breathe and just practice. And that's the thing with yoga, and that's the thing with mindfulness. It's a practice. And so that means that you need to keep on going, and perhaps the first day it's not going to be as great as I'm sure it's going to be the day 100, but you're just going to keep on going, and you just have to hold to that you are here, you're existing, and you're breathing. And if you're breathing, that means that you're alive, and that's all that matters. Not alive with the other part of the sentence. It's not like alive with a husband, alive with a job, alive with happiness, alive with nature. You're just alive, and that's it. So that's what I think that it's the best advice ever. Just breathe and try to be present in this moment. And that's it. I think that maybe the first time you try it, you're going to feel a little bit clumsy, or perhaps you're going to feel dizzy. You might feel dizzy, and it's okay. Just keep on doing it in a way that you feel okay, because also every single practice is different as every single practitioner. So just keep on going.
Yeah, exactly. And releasing ourselves from judgment of like, I have to breathe this way. I have to be, practicing this in a certain way. There are obviously really beautiful ways to do it, but as you said, experiment, like see how it feels in your body and see how your body responds to a certain type of breathing, and just bringing your awareness back to that moment releases everything else. And it takes you away from like fear of judgment. Nothing else matters. Everything that matters, the only thing that really matters is being ourselves in this moment, and loving ourselves for who we are in that present moment, and knowing that everything is going to be okay. everything works out, you know, the way it needs to for whatever reason, even if that means that tomorrow, you know, maybe we stub our toe, or something happens that feels less than optimal at the time, but there's still a lesson in that, and we can say, oh well, you know, I need to be more aware of where I put my feet, or whatever it is. There's a lesson in that, and there's a beauty in the freedom that comes from releasing ourselves from that judgment, and releasing ourselves from fear of other people's judgment, because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, other people are going to think what they think. Other people are going to do what they, you know, feel called to do for whatever reason. But knowing that we are enough in that present moment, and just knowing that from love, coming from our heart space, and being driven by love, and being better and better versions of ourselves, it will naturally unfold, and things will just happen the way they need to happen, and everything is going to be okay. More than okay. But the only constant is change. That's the only thing that we really, I guess, can rely on. As you said, the impermanence of nature, the impermanence of reality. And we get to just, you know, dance with it, just be ourselves in flow, and become more and more in flow with life and the universe. And it's just this beautiful unfolding of reality. We get to create our future based on, you know, our desires and our emotions, what drives us, and how, you know, I feel like we're going to become more and more driven by our hearts and how we really feel, more so than the brain. But having the connection, and having that, the mind, as you said, is important. There's nothing wrong with the mind, just as there's nothing wrong with the heart, but it's having them working in synergy, and having that connection restored, and just being heart-centered and really driven by that portal that we have in our heart space, coming from love, and coming from, which starts with ourselves, and being present in that moment, and knowing that we are worthy, and we are beautiful, and we are enough the way that we are right now, knowing that, you know, we can do better. We can always do better. Everybody can always do better. I think that's a really, really important for us all to always remember. And and coming back into that present moment through the breath is really probably the easiest and most powerful way just to become present again. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I feel like that's a really beautiful point for us to move into a little meditation, if you'd like to do that. Maybe first I'll just see if there's any questions that have come through. If anybody else would like to say anything or to ask anything. Let me have a look on here. How many are vegan? I didn't realize that. Awesome. You're all healing. Jeff says, it's not the way animals are treated, but why are they being exploited? There is not a nice way to exploit. Yeah, 100% agree. There is no nice way, no kind way to exploit or to objectify anybody. I wonder if that's something that you feel called to speak into a little bit, is that statement and that question of why they're being exploited. I guess that's kind of opening up a big conversation that we can maybe go into later in the week. But if there's anything that you feel you want to share on that, please do.
Yeah, sure. I think that the problem, as we just said, is that there's no small violence. Violence is violence. And so it doesn't matter if this violence is experiencing it a small cockroach, or is experiencing it a female pig, or is experiencing this violence a person that is working in the slaughterhouse. Violence is violence. And so it's not because somebody might be, I don't know, maybe they were punched to do something, and so they experience physical violence. But that's not as bad as being enslaved, for example, for your whole life. Because once we start putting a balance and we start creating this pyramid of the violentometer or something like that, once we start uh, acting as judges and saying who is having the worst, and so it's worst to exploit them, but it's not as bad if we just use them a little bit, like for example the dogs that are used by people that aren't able to see, for example. Or if we start doing that balance of what is worse than the other, then we are not looking at violence. We are looking at ways of justify it, of which way I can talk about this so that I don't feel guilty, or so that I think that I'm moving forward to create change, but I'm actually still part of the violence. So that's why it's so dangerous sometimes to create campaigns around welfareism, for example, because that way perhaps people is thinking that we are moving towards changing consumption habits, for example, in the food industry. But the fact is that whenever we are just thinking about making the cages bigger, we're still thinking about having hens, having pigs, having different animals being enslaved. And so I think that we just need to focus on the truth on that part and use the right words as well. Because sometimes we use euphemisms or these words that are to make things sound like better. So we say that they are inseminated instead of saying that they are raped. Or we say that they live in cages instead of saying that they are enslaved. And so that way we're saying that we are treating them poorly or we are treating them bad. But it's not as bad as talking about human slavery, or it's not as bad as talking about having women being raped, for example. But it is. And so we need to stop creating these scales, because as long as we do that, we are not seeing exploitation and we are not seeing violence as it is. And so, of course, it's hard to talk about exploitation and rape and murder, but that's the reality. And so our words are not the harsh ones, and our words are not the violent ones, and our communication is not the violent one. The reality is. And so that's the reason why we need to say things as they are. And just to understand that we need to stop trying just to make it better. Because if you were talking about a human kid, if you were talking about a little girl that has been forced to eat food that she doesn't want to have hormones and antibiotics put inside of her body, even if she's not sick, even if she doesn't need that. And she's been forced to all of this so that by the time that she's 7 years old, she can be raped. And so she can be forced to be robbed the milk that is for her kid. Would we say that it's okay or is less violent if we have her in a bigger cage? We wouldn't. But if ever we are making differences, it's because we are thinking out of speciesism. So we're thinking that because they are not humans, it's okay if we just make it a little bit better or a whole lot better. But we don't need to make it better. We need it to stop. If we would not do that to your sister, to your mother, to your father, to a person that is human that you don't know, why are we being part of the exploitation of a person that is not human, and we are forcing them to feel the torture, to feel all of these problematics around violence?
Absolutely, yeah. It's getting rid of the sugarcoating. It's like we place this layer of like making it more palatable for people by using certain euphemisms, using certain turns of phrases, or, you know, there's like judgment of, oh, you're not supposed to say it in a way that, you know, that sounds like that. It's the energy behind it, but it's the truth. It's, if we're speaking truth, somebody's truth, you know, we're speaking up for the perspective of the animals, right? So from their perspective, this is their reality, this is their truth. And if we're speaking their truth from a place of, you know, wanting to create more transparency and reveal what is actually going on, then we have to just be honest about it and say, you know, yeah, it's just got to end. It's just got to stop. We can't make it better. Just as we can't make sexual violence better, we just need it to not happen in the first place. And whether that's sexual violence towards a human or a non-human, it is the same. And I'm really glad that you brought that up. From an intersectional point of view, I know there's a lot of people who feel like we shouldn't use those words, like enslavement, like rape, because it could be, you know, triggering, or it's saying that the experience of the animals is worse than, you know, a human experience of the same thing. But essentially it's the same, because they are the same as us. Animals and humans, there isn't really that much difference. You know, we have a heartbeat, we have blood pumping through our veins, we breathe, we have families, we have brains and desires. And really the desire to be free is what, you know, one thing that really connects us, I feel. And recognizing that the similarities as opposed to the differences between us and the different bodies, you know, animal species, humans, races, skin colors, plants, whatever, where we all are living, we have this vital life force moving through us. And that's something that that's what really connects us. And respecting that life force and respecting that life that we see reflected in others is key, I feel, to understanding freedom and having respect for each other, and allowing others to be themselves and be sovereign and be independent individual beings that don't live in cages, that don't live in oppression. You know, as you say, walking down the street and feeling violence just by somebody looking at us a certain way, or having a comment on a post or something that is objectifying. You know, we're able to move past that as a society, as a collective, by seeing that and having that self-respect and having that love of our own lives first, and having that expressed and allowing others to express their life force in their own individual way as well. So thank you so much for sharing everything that you have today. I think it's so important, and it's so beautiful being able to hear your experience, your work, your perspectives, and to really see things from a different point of view, really. So I'd love to move into a little meditation, if you would like to, and really close off this beautiful space and this conversation. I feel like we've really been able to share a whole lot. It's been really informative and really a beautiful reminder for me as well, because I've not been in the activist kind of space for a while. I've been doing a different kind of work, different kind of activist work, more, you know, activation. I see it as the same kind of thing, but bringing the conversation back to animal rights in a way that I haven't really thought about it in a little while has been really, really, a really beautiful reminder for me. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Lucy, for this space. Really, thank you so much. I would just like to add a little bit something else about this last topic. And that would be, we need to be able to do ourselves the question, is my pain more important than others' pain? Because I think that whenever somebody says we shouldn't be talking about this topic in this way because we are not being respectful with people that has experienced this violence, it's not because we are not being respectful. It's because perhaps this person that is saying that, or somebody that has experienced some type of violence, thinks that their pain is more important than the pain that others are experiencing. But if we do understand that my pain is not more important, it's not worse than the pain that others are experiencing, I don't care if we compare our experiences, because the problem is not comparison. The problem is that we are sharing the same violence. A cow that has been sexually abused is sharing with me and with a lot of women the fact that we have been sexually abused. And I don't feel like that should not be said, because a cow can feel, I can feel. A cow can experience a lot of emotions that have, not just in the fact of experiencing physical pain or experiencing the suffering in the moment because of what is happening, but she also has the ability, as I have, to remember. And so if we all can experience the same, and she's experiencing a sexism because she's a female, and I did as well, and other women did as well, there is no reason why we should not use these words, because not using these words means that we are once again practicing escapism, and we think that is more valid. The problems that we as groups of humans live than others. And of course, it's not the same if you are oppressing a person with privileges than if you are oppressing a person that doesn't have the same privileges. But that doesn't mean that you need to put them on a balance. Once again, why?
Yep, you're back.
You lost me for a second, right?
Yeah, we've got you back again. You were saying about a balance? Oh.
Give me just 1 second, because I think I'm having problems with my internet. But can you listen to me now?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah. Oh, gone again. Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so the main point is just my pain and my experiences shouldn't be something that I want to put over other people's experiences. And when I say people, I also mean other people from other species and other people from other groups. So if we just stop trying to say, okay, we should name the violence that we experience as women this way, and we should name the violence that cows experience this other way, or the violence that women of color experience in a different way than the violence that white women experience. Why the divisions? So just so that I can feel special and integrated in my own group, shouldn't we just try to create unity and understand that pain is pain, just as love is love, and we need just to be compassionate each other. It doesn't matter who we are. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100% agree. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really beautiful, and really, a really beautiful perspective of just emotions. We all have the ability to feel. We all have the ability to experience pain and suffering, as well as love and joy and excitement. And it's all valid. It's all, everybody's experience is valid, whether they're in a human body or not. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I feel like maybe the internet is telling us we should close
Yeah.
out this container, and we've had some really amazing information come through here. So thank you so much for that. Maybe let's drop into some breathing, and I'd love to have you guide us into some mindfulness, if that's all right. And
Yeah.
I'll kind of close off.
Okay. So let's do that. Let's just all of us try to relax for a while. Let's do this exercise together. I think that's such a beautiful thing to do, just to try to be mindful of this present moment all together. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, to put yourself in a place that you can feel comfortable, whether that is sitting or maybe you want to lay down somewhere. Let's start with breathing and inhaling and exhaling slowly. Inhale and exhale. Let's keep going with that rhythm, or whatever rhythm that you are breathing, that you feel comfortable and calming to yourself. Okay. So I'm going to guide you with my voice to a couple of feelings to start thinking about. For starter, today you are here. You're simply here right now. You are. You are not waiting what it's going to come. You are not looking of what it's going to happen next. You're just here. Breathe in. And breathe out. There is holding. It's something that you are just imagining. You are here and you are present. There is nothing to obtain because you have completeness and you are a whole. You are here existing. You are here in this moment. Inhale and exhale. Beware of the feeling of existence. You are the sense of existence, not just a part of it. Inhale and exhale. There is nothing to come that can't give you something different than what you already are. You don't need to hold to your package. You don't need to hold to any room where you can put things. You are not waiting. You are not holding. You are. You are here. Breathe in and exhale. There is no need to fight with your mind about your existence and about the sense of yourself. You just are. You exist. You are complete. You are perfect. You are love. You're not part of life. You are life itself. Breathe in and exhale. Try to look into a way that you can confirm this. You have nothing to become. There is nothing to change. There is nothing to fix, nothing to hold. There's nothing to reject. There is no better place to be. And there is no way to become somebody else different than who you already are. If you know this, your joy will be complete. Breathe in and breathe out. This feeling of being here is not simply something geographical. It's not something about location. It means that you are here with yourself. You are here indivisible, complete, joyful, and happy. Confirm yourself in your completeness. That way, you are going to be able to experience the world without fear. Breathe in, breathe out. There's no need to discuss this with your mind. There's no need to look for approval in your mind. Get used to be empty of concepts. You are simply here. Breathe in, breathe out. Take this feeling and this awareness of completeness to every single room in your life. You don't need to change. You're complete. You are happy. You are yourself. Remember that you can always find yourself while you are breathing and thinking about it. Breathe in and breathe out. Let the seed of this knowledge that we have shared today invade every single aspect of your life. Let kindness come through your body, through your mind, through your emotions, because this kindness has always been here. This kindness comes from yourself, and that self is who you are. No need for attachment, no need for stories. You are. You are here. Breathe in and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Start listening. Other sounds around you. Perhaps you want to move a little bit your toes, your head. Remember, you're here with your body. And whenever you feel ready, with that awareness of this body that brings you here today, open your eyes and let's be present together, looking to each other with the greatest mudra that is our smile.
Mm-hmm.
And really, thank you so much for bringing yourselves here today to talk with us. Thank you so much, Lucy. I'm so grateful with life because of you. You're such a pleasant person to be around. And I really care so much about everything that you are doing. And I celebrate that you create this space for all of us. Really, thank you so much.
Oh,
Namaste.
namaste, sister. I have so much love for you. Thank you. That was just the most beautiful meditation and discussion. And I feel like, yeah, you really shared so much depth and beauty, powerful wisdom from your experience and your unique perspective. So yeah, I'm really, really honored to have been able to open this space with you, and I'm so grateful for the work that you do, and that everybody could join us and be part of this experience together. So let's see who's, yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much to everybody for joining and being part of this. Yeah, it's been a beautiful time. So it's now 11. I'm going to have some chocolate today because it's Easter. I actually got my cacao. So I've
Yay.
with this beautiful cacao company called Sacred Taste. So I've got my cacao that I didn't drink earlier. I'm going to have some of that, and have some chocolate, and enjoy the sunshine. So I guess it's evening for you, isn't it, where you are in Mexico? So it looks like it's still pretty light though. Have you still got a bit of sunlight for the rest of the
Yeah.
evening?
Yeah, there's still some sunlight. I think that we're going to have more light for perhaps a couple of hours. So maybe it's a good time to just go for a walk or something.
Yeah, enjoy the present moment. Enjoy life,
Yay.
and just be happy. And yeah, thank you so much. I think there's
So
nothing left to
much.
really say. So I'm so grateful to you and to everyone who's joined us today. Thank you so much. And I hope everybody has a really beautiful Easter. And yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing some more of our event over the coming days. So whoever's able to join, we've got tomorrow, we have Healing Identity Wounds with Harmony and with Samantha. We're going to be talking about identity wounds around gender, sexuality, geographical, homeland displacement. I'm excited to share some of my own story with my, my own journey. So yeah, it's going to be really, really beautiful, and I'm very excited and honored to have everybody join us. So yeah, on that note, thank you so much, beautiful Polly. I love you, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
I did, and I love you too. Thank you so much, really. And I just want everybody to bring all of this love to your lives and to feel this bliss that I think that we are all experiencing together right now. And just try to bring that to every single part of your life. Whether it is you are doing activism, you are sleeping, or you are just giving a smile to a stranger, just please take that bliss everywhere with you. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you. Awesome. All right. I will see you. I'll see you online soon.
Yeah.
Amazing day in the recording.